Hello guys, welcome back to the new video. In this video, we will give the functionality to our dashboard screen. But first of all, let's run our app and see what error we are getting. So when we try to run our app, we will get this room error. So here, let's see what it is saying. Here it is saying cannot figure out how to save this field into the database. Let's click on this link. So it will navigate us to this value. Right now, Room can't figure out how to save this list of color values. First, let's minimize this, and we are getting this error because first let me open that color list converter. Here we are saying that we will convert a list of integer, but here we are saying the list of colors. So let's just change this color to integer. Now here on this color value, let's press Ctrl B. It will tell us where we are using this value in our project. So in these places, we are using this value. So first of all, let's go to this dashboard screen. Here it is giving error because we need to provide the list of colors. But we have set the value list of integers. So what we will do? We will convert those integer value into the color value. So let's here call this map function, and in this map function, whatever integer value we will get, we will use this color, this one from the compose, and here let's provide that color value. So here we are taking those integer value and using as a color. So let's go back to this subject, and again let's press Ctrl B. So here we can see all our values we are using in this main activity. So let's click, and here it is asking this list of integer value, but we are using the color values. Here again we will use this map function, and we will use each color value, and we will use this to_argb function. So it will convert the color value into the integer value. So for now, let's use this function to all these values. And let's scroll up and minimize these values. And now we can run our app and see is it working. So now we can see our app is working fine. So let's minimize this and close these two files, and let's go to this dashboard screen. So here in our dashboard screen, we can see we are creating some states here locally. First, let's see what are states. States are the values that can change while using the app. So we will keep some of our state here in this composable function locally, and all the other states we will manage through the view model. So these two values related to this dialog, we will keep these values locally. That's why we also have used this remember savable, because it will remember the value during the configuration change also. But these states we will manage through the view model. So here first let's minimize this, and let's go to this presentation package and this dashboard package. Here I will create a data class, and I will keep all those states in that data class. So here let's create one more file with the name dashboard state. So here I have created these values. So first let's open our device also. So here this is our dashboard screen. So what are the states? First I will keep this total subject count. In the first row we can see we have this subject count, studied hours and this goal study hour, because these values will change while using the app. So here I have created these states and I have also provided the initial value, and after these we will have a list of subject, so we can show the subject cards, and initially the value will be empty list. Then we have this subject name, goal study hours and the subject card colors. So let's open this add subject card, and here we can see we have this subject card color, subject name and goal study hours. So these three things we will also keep like this. And here for subject card colors, initially we will take the random value from these colors list. And after this I have created this session value also, because when we delete the session, then we will keep the value of that session, which session we are deleting. Now we will use this dashboard state data class in our view model. So let's open our view model and here initialize the state data class. So we will use this mutable state flow, and here I have provided these initial values. Now the next thing, I need those total subject count and total goal hours and total session durations. So from where we will get those things? We already have created these repositories. So for now let's press Ctrl B here, and in our view model we will call these functions, and we can see these functions will return us this flow value. In our subject repository we have these three functions. So we will use these three functions from this subject repository, and for total session duration we will use session repository. So let's open that one also. Here we have this function total session duration. First thing, we have not implemented these functions yet. So we will implement these four functions first, then we will use these functions in our view model to get these flow values. So let's go to this implementation of these two repositories. Session repository implementation first. And here for total session duration, we have this function. So here we will just simply call with this return keyword session DAO dot get total session duration. And here let's press Ctrl B. So we will use this function from our session DAO. So this function will query to the room database that selects sum of duration from session. And here it will return us this flow of long value, and then we will use that value to return to this function, and from this function we will use the value in our view model. And in the same way let's open our subject repository, and here for total subject count again let's use that return keyword with subject DAO dot get total subject count. Again, this will call this DAO function, and this DAO function will query into the room database. And in the same way, let's implement this function also. And we also have one more function, this get subject. Now close all these files and just open our view model. So here in our view model, we have many flow values. So what we will do, we will combine all those flow values into a single state. So first let me write the code and then we will discuss. So here what we are doing, we are using this combine function. So this combine function comes from the Kotlin flow library. It helps us in combining multiple flow of data into a single flow. So here we have this multiple flow of data, and first we have this initial state flow, and then we have these flow values. So we will use these all flow values to update the state. So here we will say state dot copy. So we will copy our whole data class and we will just override some of the values. So first value we will override this subject count. So here let's say total subject count to whatever value we will get from our repository. And next thing, total goal hours to this goal hours. Next we have this subjects. We will use the subject list for this. Total studied hours. So we will here use this sessions duration. Let's also rename this to by pressing Shift F6, total sessions duration. So here this is giving us the error. It is saying that we need to provide the float value, but we are providing this long value. This is because when we save our sessions, we will save in the seconds value. So those values will be in the long. But what we will show to the users, we will show the value in the hours. We will convert those seconds into the hour value. So for this, let's create an extension function. So let's go to our util package, and here we have this common file, and here let's create one more extension function. So this will be our extension function. So here I have created this function on this long type because we will save our seconds in the long type, and this function will return us this float value. So here we are saying that whatever long value we will get, we will convert it into the float value, and then we will divide that float value by this 3600f, because in 1 hour we get the 36,000 seconds. So that's why we are dividing this. And next, whatever float value we will get, we will take only two decimal value, and here this is how we will format that our value, so we will get only two decimals. So let's use this extension function there, like this. And here it is also suggesting us that this local variable should start from this lowercase. So let's just rename this with simply state. Next thing, we need to specify how these flow values will be collected and managed. So here we need to call this state in function. So this will help us in managing and collecting these flow values. So here we need to specify these three things. First thing is this scope. So here let's use this scope to view model scope. We are using this view model scope. This indicates that the states is tied to the view model, which means it will be automatically cancelled when the associated view model is cleared or no longer in use. Next thing, we need to specify the started. So here we need to specify what will be the strategy of collecting. So here we have this sharing started. These three values, while subscribed, eagerly, lazily. So we will use this while subscribed, and here we will use 5000 millisecond, means 5 seconds. This while subscribed specifies that the state should continue emitting values as long as there are subscribers. If there are no subscriber for 5 seconds, then it will stop emitting updates. And next we need to provide this initial value. So we will use this initial value to our dashboard state. Whatever values we provided initially, we will use those values. Now let's go to our screen and we will collect these states there. So let's scroll up and we will collect those state here. So here let's say val state dot collect as state with lifecycle. So we will use this function because this function will collect our states with the Android lifecycle awareness. So let's scroll down and here use these state dashboard state, and now it will ask us these states. So let's provide. Now let's scroll down and now we need to attach all those states to their respective value in the UI. And now we can delete these three states which we created earlier locally. So here we are getting these errors, so we will just use this state dot subject name like this. So let's just update all our values like this. And for now, let's just remove these. Next, let's scroll down. And first we have this count card section. So here we provided the value hard coded, but now we will use the values from our state. So here these values are giving error because these are float values and we need the string value. So we can just simply call this toString function here and here also. And next we have this subject card section. Here we are using this subjects dummy list. So we will use our subject list from the state like this. Now the next thing we will see the events. So what are the events? Events are users action. Whatever user can perform on the screen, that is event. So again what we will do, we will create a sealed class where we will keep all our events users action at one place. So again let's create a new file with the name dashboard event. So these will be our events related to the dashboard screen. So here for some of our events I have used this data object and for some other I have used this data class. Here we see if some value is also coming through the user section, then we use this data class. Otherwise we just simply use this data class. So now let's go to our view model. And here I will create one function where we will manage all our events at one place. So here that function will be with the name on event Here we will pass the event of type dashboard event and we will use the when function. And here on this when, let's press Alt Enter and add remaining branches. So here we have all our users action. So in our composable function, we will call this onEvent function and we will pass some event. If that event is this delete subject, then we will provide the required code here. Now first let's go to our dashboard screen and here we will attach all those events with their respective onClick. So first of all, let's use this onEvent here. So here let's create one parameter where we will pass this dashboard event and it will return nothing. So now here in the route function, it is giving error. So let's just pass this function. So this function let's attach with our ViewModel function, this one. Now scroll down and first of all we have this add subject dialog and here when the user will type something into that subject name, then we will call that onEvent function and here we will pass that dashboard event dot on subject name function and here we will pass whatever value we will get through the keyboard. And in the similar way, let's copy this one and paste it here and this time we will call on goal hours change. And here on this on color change, let's also paste this and this time let's call that on subject color change. And when the user will click on this on confirm button, then we will save our subject. So let's call that save subject. And here in our delete dialog function, when user will click on this on confirm button, so here again we will call that on event function and this time we will call this delete subject event. And let's scroll down and here we have this task list and here this on checkbox click. Let's paste our on event function and this time we will call that on task change and let's pass the whatever value we will get through this on click. And in the same way here study sessions list, when the user click on this on delete icon, then we will call that delete session button click. Let's also pass our session here. So here we have attached all our events with their respective on click. So let's go back to our view model and here in each of these events we will provide the logic. So first of all let's provide this on subject name change. So when this event will be called, so we will update our state. So here I have used this state value. So we can see we created this state value here. On this state value, I have used this update function. So we will update our state and here we will take a copy of that dashboard state and we will update this subject name with whatever name we will get through the event. So let's copy this and in the same way, let's provide this on goal study hours change. This time we will update this goal study hours. Let's do the same with this on subject color change. And here we will update this subject card color. And next we have this on delete session button click. So let's update session value from the state. So next we will give this save subject functionalities. So here let's create a new function with the name save subject. So here let's press Alt Enter and create function save subject. So this will be a private function. So here we will first call this ViewModel scope and then launch, and here call this subject repository and dot upsert a subject. So this function needs a subject. So here let's provide the subject. So for subject first we need the name. Name we will provide whatever name is there in the street. And next we have this goal hours. So again we will save goal hours whatever we have in the state. So here these two values are giving error. First of all, this goal hours. So this is asking the float value, but we have provided the string value. So what we will do, we will call this to float or null, this function. So this to float or null function will parse that string as a float number. And if that string is not valid representation of a number, then it will provide us this null value. So to escape this null value, here we will just use this 1f. And next this color is asking that it needs the list of integer, but we are providing the list of colors. So what we will do, we will convert these colors into the int. So we have this first, let's use this map function. For each items in that list, we will call this to argv function. So this function will convert that color value into an argv color integer. Now let's run our app and see how these functionalities are working. So here we have our app. First we can see in the count cards we have these zero values because right now there are no subjects, studied hours and this goal hours, that's why. So let's first click on this add icon and here let's provide some name to this subject and goal hour 5 and save. So now we can see our subject count has updated itself, goal study hours also updated itself and that subject card also. So first let's minimize this and here let's scroll up. So we can see we have these flow values. So these flow values will observe the data. If there will be any change, then they will be updated automatically, as we can see here in our dashboard screen. So next thing, we will also observe these task list and these session list, because right now we are using these dummy list. So for that, here let's scroll, and first of all, one thing we need to change. Let's go to this dashboard event, and here we need to update this event to by pressing Shift F6, delete session. So here let's press Ctrl B. This event is using at two places. First this dashboard screen. So let's press enter. So here we can see we are using this event in this delete session dialog. So let's go back to the dashboard view model and here I will create a value for task. So here I have created this value for task. So this task value will be of type state flow and this list of task. So here we are calling that task repository and get all upcoming task function. And then we will collect these in the same manner as we collected here. So one question arises that why I have not uses this task list in this combine function here, like all these flow values. This is because this combine function accept max 5 values only. We cannot provide more than 5 flow values to this combine function. That's why I have created this extra task value here. And in the similar way, we will observe the list of sessions. So here let's create that session value. So now let's go to our dashboard screen, and here as we are collecting this state, so we will also collect those session and task. Now first let's scroll down and here create two more parameters. Now this will give error, so let's provide these values. Now scroll down and provide these task and recent session instead of those dummy list. So here this is already using this value parameter. Here let's provide that recent sessions list from our parameters and press Ctrl Alt O to optimize our imports. Now let's go back to our view model, and first we will check these functions implementation. So first let's see this tasks repository and this get all upcoming tasks function. So here let's scroll down and here we have this get all upcoming task function. So we will call our function from the task dot get all task, and now let's press Ctrl B on this. So here we have this function in our task DAO. So it will select all the tasks from this task entity. But we only need the upcoming task, means those tasks which are incomplete. So for that, here in our task repository implementation, we will filter this task list into not completed task list. So here let's call this map function. So here we will get these tasks and here we will filter. So here we will filter these tasks if that task value is complete value is not complete. Here I have called this not function. So this will returns the inverse value of this boolean. And next we also need to sort these tasks according to the due date and their priority. So for that here I will create a function which will sort the task. So in this function we will provide the list of tasks and it will return this list of tasks. And here on this task list I have called this sorted with function. Here in this function first we are sorting it with this due date. So this due date will be a long value. It means that if the date is nearer, then the long value of that date will also be smaller. Then that task will come first. And then we are sorting this with priorities. So this priority value will be 0 for low value, 1 for medium, 2 for high. That's why we are sorting it in the descending order. It means if the value is 2, it means it is of high priority. So it will come first in the list. So this is how we will sort this task list by these two values. So after this, let's map this list with this sorted. And next, let's go back to the dashboard view model. And here for this session, we have this function get recent 5 sessions. So let's go to our session repository implementation. So here we have this function. So here we will call our session DAO and call this get all function and press Ctrl B. We are selecting all the entries from our session entity, but we only need the 5 entries. So here in our session repository implementation, we will call this take function from Kotlin library and we will provide the count to 5. So this will only return us the 5 values. So let's go back to our view model. So here we are already collecting these tasks and recent session in our dashboard screen. So let's run our app and see these changes. So now we can see there are no task list and those study sessions list because in our database right now there is no task and study sessions. In the future videos when we will add the task and session in our room database, then those task and session will also show here. Here again let's click on this add subject and this time let's add one more subject and press this save button. So here this new subject has been added, but user should also be notified that new subject has been added through the Snag bar. So next we will implement the Snag bar. And one more thing we also need to fix this when again we will click on this add subject dialog. So we can see these subject name and this goal study hours are still there from the last subject addition. So for this, what we will do here, let's scroll down. So here after inserting the subject, we will update these 3 values with the initial values. So first let's minimize this and next thing for showing the snag bar, first let's create a snag bar event. So here in this util package we have this common file. So here we will create one sealed class with the name snag bar event. So in this snag bar event class there will be one events with the name show snag bar. So here we will pass this message and this duration we will provide the short duration by default. So why I have created this snag bar event class here in this common package? Because we will use this snag bar event class in all of our 4 view model. So let's go back to our dashboard view model and for our snag bar event we will use mutable shared flow. So we are using this mutable shared flow because this mutable shared flow doesn't hold any initial value. So here let's scroll down and we will provide this try catch block. So here if our operation will be successful, then we will pass this message subject saved successfully. Otherwise if it fails, then we will catch this exception and provide this message with the exception error. And let's also change the duration to long. And let's go back to our dashboard screen. Here scroll up and here let's create one parameter with this snag bar event. So here it is giving error. So let's provide that event which we created in our view model. And let's scroll down and here we need to do few things. First, we need to create the snag bar host state and attach to the scaffold, because scaffold is the one which will show the snag bar at the right place. So here first let's create a snag bar host state. And let's scroll down and here in our scaffold we have this parameter called snag bar host. So here we will provide our snag bar host with this host state we created like this. Next thing we need to collect those events here. So let's use the launched effect. So this launched effect function is helpful when we need to provide the non-composable code or the code which requires coroutine. So here I have provided this key value to true. So it means the launching of this block will not be affected by this key, because this true value will not change ever. And here in our launch effect we are collecting our snag bar events, and here on our snag bar host state which we created we are calling this show snag bar function. And in this function we are providing the message, whatever message we will provide through the view model, and also the duration. So this is how we show the snag bar through the view model. So now we can run our app and see these changes. So again let's click on this add button and here provide some other subject name and let's press save. So here we can see we have this snag bar subject saved successfully. And also when we click again on this add icon, so these text field will be blank for the next subject addition. So here let's minimize this and let's go back to the view model. And right now we have not provided two functionalities. This delete session functionality and this on task is complete change, because there are no task and sessions list in our dashboard screen. So these two functions we will write in the future videos. And apart from these two functions, we have provided all our functionality to this dashboard screen. So that will be all for this video. In the next video, we will give the functionality to our subject screen. So do subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video. Thanks for watching.